Hi, and welcome back to It Figures Horror Month Edition. With The Walking Dead returning tonight, and I can't wait for it because I'm a massive fan, I thought it would be a good time to take a look at some new figures that have come out from McFarlane. And the first one I'm going to be reviewing is Rick Grimes. So this is the third version of Rick that has come out in different sizes. The first one was a small figure, which I'm going to take a look at here in a second. And then they came out with a very large figure. It was like 18 inches. And this is sort of the mid-size version. On the back here, you see it says Rick Grimes, number 1, 1 of 8. I've already reviewed this figure, and I was not really crazy about it. I actually started collecting these smaller figures, but I just didn't like the sculpts. I mean, if you show me this picture of this figure and ask me who it was, I would not be able to tell you. I don't think this looks like Rick Grimes whatsoever. It could be a distant cousin of his, maybe, but as for the actor, I don't think this looks nothing like him. As for the figure itself, I didn't think there was that much detail to it, and it just was kind of sloppily done. I didn't want the 18-inch version of Rick because those figures are just too large. And this one here is like a perfect size, so I'm really glad they came out with these. And from the packaging, as I can tell from inside the packaging, that is, it looks like a much better sculpt. But let's open him up and take a look. So compared to the other figure, if you showed me this and asked me who it was, I would instantly tell you, well, that's Rick Grimes from The Walking Dead, obviously. Now this is a pretty decent sculpt of Rick Grimes. The strange thing about this sculpt is, yes, it does look like him, but in some different poses, it doesn't. It's just really weird. Like this here, for example. I don't think that looks like him that much. But this here, yeah, that's Rick Grimes. It's a very strange sculpt. So as for articulation, both arms move and his head rotates. So you can either have him stand with both arms down, or have the classic pose of him holding his gun, which I'm going to get to in a second. And his other arm, it doesn't really make much sense for that to be up. As for the articulation of his head, it's kind of odd what they did here. Rather than put it on a ball joint, if you turn his head like this, it has like a big lump there where his chin is, which really don't make much sense to me as to why they did that. But if you keep his head like, over here, then it's fine. You don't notice it. The shoulder is a little like that too. It's not as bad or as noticeable, but it is a little bit off when you put his arm up, as you can see. As for the rest of the sculpt, it's pretty amazing. The folds in his shirt are really great, and his belt looks fantastic. Here he has his police radio and some pouches, and on the back he has another pouch and a folding knife. And look at the texture of that belt. It's pretty spectacular. And of course he has his gun holster as well. His pants are pretty well done. There's not a whole lot of paint here. He does have a couple holes in the jeans. And his boots are also well painted. Speaking of paint, it's pretty good here. As you can see up the front of his shirt, I'm assuming that's either dirt or grime, as in his name, Rick Grimes. And they have it on both of his rolled up sleeves. And even on the back of the figure, he has like the sweat stain coming down from the back of his neck. And he has a really nice stand that says, AMC's The Walking Dead. So here is his classic gun, and they did a fantastic job with it. Really well painted, really well detailed. It fits pretty well in his hand. I had to do some adjusting of his fingers to actually get it in there, but once it's in there, it looks really nice. So here is a pose of Rick with his gun up in the air, and this is him with it down. And I actually think it looks better with him holding it down like that rather than up in the air. So in all, this is a really interesting figure from McFarlane. The sculpt is 100 times better than the small figures, and the paint is also really well done. Still, I think it could be a little bit better. So let's bring up the old Figometer and see how Rick Grimes stacks up. Alright, so for articulation, it's not great. The weird head sculpt and just being able to lift up his shoulders, not bend his arms, or move his waist, or bend his legs, or anything like that, I would have to give articulation on Rick a 2 out of 5. I mean, come on guys, really? Paint is pretty decent here. It's not the best I've ever seen, but it does its job. It makes him really dirty, and, you know, it's not bad at all. So paint, I would give a 4 out of 5. Now here's a difficult one. Overall sculpt. His shirt looks great, his pants look great, gun looks good, and the face looks good from certain positions. So I would have to give the overall sculpt a 4 out of 5. I'm really hoping that we will get another Rick Grimes figure in this line, because I would like to have the one with the beard maybe. But overall, it's a pretty decent figure, and I will probably start collecting all of these from the line rather than the small ones, because I do like the size of these figures, and the sculpt, like I said, is so much better. So thanks for watching It Figures, and if you like what you see, please subscribe so I can see you next time.